Hello everybody and welcome. Sorry, my little man Theo had clearly been playing with Facebook and I didn't actually even realize that you could put filters on your Facebook Live. I realized that makes me sound about 100. And I had to work out how to take them off, or you all would have been a little bit frightened of what was popping up on your screen. As you're all coming in, I'll just let you know we have got such a busy few days and weeks planned in the Birth Beat office, which is hugely exciting. And I have to just acknowledge, I am going to the hairdresser in about an hour. Hence I have this greasy mop of a hair that I've got all slicked back. I hope someone else does that. Just the thought of washing your hair when you're going to the hairdresser seems like such a waste. So hence greasy mop of a hair here on top of my head. As always, please say hello. Let me know where I'm chatting to you, where you're watching from, either if you are pregnant or if you have a little baby there home with you. I think it's really interesting. A few of the stories that have already come, a few of the questions that have come through from Instagram stories, there are 4 around the 4-month sleep regression. So there's 4 questions from 4 different mums around the 4-month sleep regression. So I'm starting to think that all our Birth Beat mamas are starting to experience this 4-month sleep regression. So we're going to spend a bit of time talking about that today. Plus a few messages are saying about how to join the choking masterclass. So let me just quickly let you all know. The choking, what to do if your baby chokes masterclass is going to be live tonight on our Birth Beat tribe page. Now I'll put a link here. There you go. There's a link there now on the birth. You can see in the Birth Beat comments for the live first aid. Today is the last chance for you to register for this. We will be going live at 8 o'clock tonight. A few questions just to let you all know. A couple of mums have said they're either working or their partners are working and they're concerned that they're not going to be able to be there for the live. That's why I want you to register, because I will send you a replay after the event. I have got a few little goodies that I'm going to share with you tonight. So I'm super excited to be sharing that and some exciting news. Plus, we've got a free downloadable and some resources, so they will all be emailed out to you after the live tonight. The live is going to focus on when to introduce solids to your baby, how to introduce solids to your baby safely, what are the most at-risk foods and what you can do about it, the difference between gagging and choking. Again, gagging is a normal developmental process. Choking is actually a crisis situation that can stop oxygen getting to your baby's brain. So it is super important that you make the time to learn what to do if your baby is choking. It is still one of the most common pediatric emergencies. So that is why I'm super passionate about sharing this information. And we'll be doing the live class at 8 o'clock tonight. So just hit the registration page there. Please remind me someone to say that at the end as well, because I always forget. Okay, hello Sonia in Sydney, Oz. Baby is 6 months old and just had her needles this morning. Oh, how is she, Sonia? For anyone else who's about to take bub for their 6-month vaccinations or their 6-month needles or any actually immunizations, we talked about this on vaccinations. We talked about this the other day. A really great trick, because someone asked should they give paracetamol before going in for the needles, and I have to say that's really up to you to make that decision. But a really good trick is to continue to feed bub. So if you're breastfeeding bub, feed bub, and the nurse is absolutely fine. The needles, one will go in one there and one there. And so you can be feeding bub and just have the legs turned out. It's comforting to bub. It's part of what we call the 5 S's. So sucking is soothing to the baby. So if you can do that, please, please, please make sure, because also all the beautiful sugar and fats that comes from your milk are also a lovely sweetener. It's like a natural lollipop that you're giving your baby while they're having their needles. So Sonia, I hope she is okay. And the other little tip I wanted to give you, that if these little spots get hot, so this is good for you, Sonia, to know, just popping a little ice pack on them. So an ice pack wrapped up in a bit of cloth will help the swelling and the heat. And sometimes that's what's painful to them, is the actual injection site. If they are distressed, you are absolutely fine to give some paracetamol. But also sort of really encourage lots of extra feeds, lots of extra cuddles for the next 24 hours. And often bubs will have 1 or 2 longer sleeps after having their needles as well. And sorry, I feel like I'm going on a lot about this, but one other thing is they've probably got 2 little needles, 2 little band-aids on the sites. You don't need to leave those on for longer than a couple of hours. I've seen those left on for days, and what actually happens is it starts to break down the skin. So just if your nurse hadn't told you that, Sonia, there's a good tip for you. And for everyone else watching, when you take your bub for your vaccinations, all of those things apply. Brianna, yay, thank you, Edwina. My 4-month-old is going through this now. Do you know, I'm currently, and I've been saying this for about 2 weeks, I am currently writing a blog. All my blog writing seems to fall at the end of the day. So it's usually at about 9 or 9:30 after I've got Polly or Theo to bed that I try and write my blogs. So I am totally behind, and I own that. But I am currently writing a blog around the 4-month sleep regression, how to manage that and what you can do. So we'll go through that, but also the blog will be live in the next few days. Might even write that while I'm getting my hair done. Gross, I know it looks terrible. Fritzy, hi. Hello, Edwina, watching from Canada. Been watching you since I'm pregnant, and now my bub is almost 4 months. There you go. Perfect timing, Fritzy. Perfect timing. Quite a few Canadian parents have also reached out and saying that it will be early in the morning. I think it was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at 8 o'clock tonight. So I do not expect you to be getting up to watch our choking first aid masterclass, but you will be sent the link if you register. So please make sure that you still register, and you can watch the link tomorrow. Hello, hello. Claire is 39 plus 5 in Toowoomba. Not long now for you, Claire. Sonia has said yes. Okay, so little Bubba was good, sleep feeding at the moment. Beautiful. And just, you know, just remember to give them lots of extra cuddles and feeds in the 24-48 hours after having their needles. Michelle, I'm from Canada and I'm signed up for the baby choking you are doing tonight. Will it be available for a replay as our time difference? Yes, Michelle, thank you so much. That's been a very common question from all my Canadian followers. Also, quite a few people who, and obviously everyone who's here now does have Facebook, but who don't have Facebook are asking if I can do the same on Instagram. So we will plan that for the next few weeks. Tara said we finally survived the regression. It gets better. Thank you, Tara. And that is definitely something that I'm going to share with anyone. If anyone has any questions, sorry, that they want answered, please pop them up shortly or as soon as possible. I will go through them in order. Rachel has said, hi, Edwina, 25+6 in the Blue Mountains, but we are about to move out west. A little bit anxious about moving all my antenatal care to a different place. Yeah, Rachel, and that is a really tough one. Whereabouts out west are you heading to? Will you be birthing at Dubbo? Is it in New South Wales? Just let me know, because I can also just make sure that I've got a lot of colleagues working all around Australia, so I can connect you with some great care providers and give you some advice around that. So let me know where you're birthing and feel free to DM me if you want a bit more information around that. Yes, Dubbo. So when you said going out west, I thought, and Dubbo is great and they've got great facilities. There are also a couple of private midwives who run some private lactation in Orange called Milk. Those ladies are amazing. So I've got a few contacts in Dubbo as well. So Rachel, DM me and I'll let you know their names. And just, I know it is a time of unknown, and it's a time that a lot of expecting mums are moving or renovating their house or changing jobs or things like that. And it adds a lot of stress. So go easy on yourself, and know that you'll be very well supported out there. Rebecca said, hi, Edwina, I'm not sure how much food my 8-month-old should be eating at each meal. Rebecca, I think what a good thing to just, like, kids are pretty good at monitoring themselves. They're not going to eat till they pop, or they're not going to eat till they make themselves feel sick, and then that's when they'll stop. So I think a lot of people worry about different volumes. What I see as well is lots of mums who are concerned that their babies eat too little or too much. Don't worry too much about the volumes, more be looking at your baby. Is your baby healthy, gaining weight, happy, sleeping after feeds, following a lovely feed, play, sleep routine? Then I would not be concerned. If you are worried about the diet or you would like further nutritional advice, I think it is really important that you speak to a nutritionist, particularly in these early stages where bub is starting to form healthy eating habits. There is a wonderful lady on Instagram called Boob to Food, and she has some really great advice around just what different foods to offer, how to do it, how to make it inviting to little children. The Wholesome Doctor, who I also follow on Instagram, is a GP who talks about different varieties and how to get your children to eat different varieties of food. I really wouldn't be worried too much about the volume, Rebecca. The volume's going to vary for everybody, and particularly with an 8-month-old, I really wouldn't be too concerned. Christy has said, just hit with 4 months sleep regression, loving watching Bub's development at this stage. He is learning and developing so fast, but the lack of sleep overnight is real. Yes, Christy, that is absolutely true. All right, so I'm just going to get straight into doing a quick chat on what is the 4-month sleep regression. Why does it happen? Let's have an understanding. Like how I always teach in Birth Beat, I want you to understand what is happening so that then you can be able to better manage the situation. Just like in everything that I teach with birth preparation and in our baby and child first aid courses, if you understand why it is happening, it often makes it a lot easier to sort of appreciate the moment and go, oh, okay, I understand what's going on here. I know that this will pass. I know why it's happening and what I can do about it. How does that sound for everyone? Good? Yes? Lots of love hearts? Fabulous. Okay, so firstly, sleep regressions don't only happen at 4 months. I feel like that's a bit of a myth. Your sleep regressions, and again, it happens until about, I'm just looking at my blog here as well. They happen up until about 18 weeks, and the first one's usually as early as 8 weeks. Why I feel, and I think that the 4-month sleep regression one is spoken about so much, is that's often a stage where bub will need some support around self-settling, getting back to sleep, looking at good routines and establishing good routines. And the 4-month sleep regression seems to be the one that's a little bit more sticky and hangs around longer, and the baby needs more support to pass through that regression. Whereas the 8-week sleep regression, the 12-week, the 8-week, the 8 to 10 month, all of those sleep regressions, so they'll have quite a few sleep regressions during the first 18 months to 2 years of life. Often they will pass on their own, but it's the 4-month sleep regression that often babes will need a little bit of help. So, why does it happen? And I actually like to refer to it as a progression. So when your baby is born, and I always like to refer to the first 0 to 12 weeks as the 4th trimester. That's a nice way to think about it. So your baby is born, but you have to remember your baby has had 3 trimesters of constant warmth, constant sound, constant rocking and shushing, constant hearing your heartbeat, and just this constant food supply. And then all of a sudden they're born into this beautiful big wide world, but it's an incredibly huge transition, not only for you, but also for your baby. And that's why I refer to it as the 4th trimester, because I say that to hope that parents will go a little easy on themselves. I don't encourage any formal sleep training or sleep settling or self-soothing in the 0 to 12 weeks. You cannot spoil a baby in these stages. Enjoy this time and focus on feeding your baby and your recovery and your baby's sort of transition into the world. That is my first tip. With sleep regressions, why I say it's more of a progression is it's a developmental stage. Someone just said how much they're enjoying the 4-month stage, because bub will start to smile and goo and gar and giggle. What you might notice is bub, when doing tummy time, is starting to lift themselves up, possibly put a little hand up and look at you like that. They may be starting to roll. They may even be starting to sit or sort of pull themselves up when they're having tummy time and push themselves up into that cobra position. Every time your baby learns a new skill, neurologically, that fires off so much in their brain. And what can happen when all of that is being processed is that it affects their sleep. Why this happens, and this is what I think is truly fascinating, is what happens in sleep, and we refer to REM sleep or non-REM sleep. So that's the rapid eye movement. Now the REM sleep is what we refer to as the lightest sleep. It's at the beginning of your baby's sleep cycle. It's often where they grunt and groan and move around. You will know if you have a newborn now what I'm talking about. They can be super noisy when they're asleep as newborns. What is happening there is they have a lot more REM sleep, because the REM sleep is when the brain is processing all of these new things that they're learning. The non-REM sleep, which is the deeper sleep that they go into in their sleep cycle, is about growing fat and muscle and bones and hair and fingernails. So what is happening is that it's that combination of REM and non-REM sleep at about 4 months of age starts to change. So your baby, who may have been having lovely, 2-hour blocks during the day, or 3 or 4 hour blocks during the night, or even more, now starts to be doing what we call catnapping. So these sort of short day sleeps where they wake after one cycle, or shortened night sleeps where they're waking 4, 5, 6 times at night for a feed. And it's hugely challenging, because you've gone from thinking that you have this great little sleeper, am I right? Has anyone else? Fritzy just said, my bub is doing all the things that you said. I know, exactly. And I feel like often this isn't shared with new mums enough. And that is why I'm so passionate about making sure that we educate you so that you know what's happening. I can hold your hand on this journey and say everything is okay, but if you're not getting any sleep, you need some support. So there are things that you can be doing around this. Some of the important things are about establishing a routine. And what I do and what I encourage is what's called feed, play, sleep. So please, and again, there's no right or wrong. This is just how I'm teaching you as a possible way to help encourage sleep. So when I'm very conscious that this is a very personal decision. If you're following sort of attachment parenting, or if you're following a different sleep training program, then that's absolutely fine. This is just my advice to help you in this 4-month sleep regression stage. What I really think is important is about establishing rhythms as opposed to a routine. I think a routine just conjures strictness and you must, and I don't like any of that, and I don't like that way of teaching. Whereas rhythms is something that we find more freely, and we work out what works for our family. When you're establishing rhythms, babies love to know what's coming next. Children love to know what's coming next. It's very reassuring to them. So from very early on, you can start to establish these rhythms or routines, whatever you want to refer to them as. And that is what I teach with feed, play, sleep. So bub will have a feed, and then at the newborn stage, a play essentially might just be changing their nappy, having a little chat to them, reading a book, and then putting them back down to sleep. What I don't encourage is feeding to sleep, because then when you hit that 4-month regression, often they'll be looking for, when they wake up 5, 6 times, to be fed back to sleep again, because that's something that they've learned that it helps them get to sleep. If you're okay with that and you're happy with lots of feeds, again, that's absolutely fine. But it is easier if you're wanting to get more sleep, if bub can wake and get themselves back to sleep is what's absolutely key. And often that training starts around the 4-month mark. So if your baby is waking and going through what you think is the 4-month sleep regression, I want to give you some quick tips. As I said, this will all be written in a blog very soon. But some quick tips are establishing a clear routine. So whatever routine you choose, stick to it. Consistency is absolutely key around sleep. If you one day say, oh, I'm going to feed bub to sleep, then I'm going to rock bub to sleep, then I'm going to let bub cry, then I'm going to try patting and soothing, then I'm going to go in and do pick up, pick down, and you pick up, put down, which are all different methods that you can use, that's very confusing to bub. So you and your partner take some time to make a decision that works for you. What your baby will absolutely love, and I can tell you this is neurologically they love, is being soothed somehow. And the side soothing, so Harvey Karp is a brilliant American pediatrician who wrote a book called The Happiest Baby on the Block, or I think the Australian version is called Bliss Baby, Baby Bliss. Now, what I want to be really clear here is this is helping to soothe your baby, not put your baby to sleep, because I want your baby to actually learn to self-settle. If you can master the art of this, it is absolutely key in making sure that bub sleeps longer, which means you get more sleep. So it's a side, so bubs actually really like to be soothed on their side, what I want to be really clear here is SIDS guidelines, bub sleeps flat on their back. This is just a soothing technique. So rolling bub onto their side. They also don't particularly like being patted on the chest, but a nice firm bottom chest and a well swaddled baby who is left to go to sleep on their own. You can stay in the room. You know, it is not about leaving your baby at any time, but when you can teach your baby consistently, and again, I'll have all the information in the blog, when you can consistently teach your baby to go back to sleep, that's going to help decrease that 4-month sleep regression. So I want you to have these skills. I want you to understand what it is, why it is happening, and that it will pass, but simply by giving you some skills to know how to get through the 4 months, such as settling, shushing, swaddling, establishing routines. All of these things are going to make the world of difference to you. So that blog, I promise, will be live in the next few days. If anyone needs any further support, please just send me a DM. We are just so passionate about making sure that parents feel supported in whatever decisions they're making, but they have someone there alongside of them saying, you're doing a really good job, because that is super duper important. One thing I do want to say as well, please remember to register tonight for our What to Do If Your Baby Chokes. I know many of you are starting to think about introducing solids, and it is super important that you know how to do that safely. If you scroll back down, you will see where the link is to register. That is absolutely key. Hello, Natasha. There are so many of you are here, and Fritzy's just said, can't wait to hear the vlog. And I just think it is so important that we support you all at this stage. So even if you're not looking at introducing solids, even if you're pregnant or you have a newborn, you can watch and re-watch this webinar. So please make sure that you register. Please make sure that you also encourage anybody who's going to be caring for your baby. That is super important. Now, I feel like I spoke a lot about the 4-month sleep regression and why it happens. I want to be able to give you more practical tips. I think we should go through a few more sleep sessions if that's of interest to anyone. Can you let me know if further information around establishing routines, how to settle bub? And I will say I only teach soft approaches. I'm not going to be, only because I know as a mother, I found it really difficult for listening to my baby cry. And I was a bit of a not a softie. I really owned that. I think that it was an important thing for me not to feel stressed, but I also think it's an important thing that bub doesn't feel stressed. So I do teach quite soft approaches, but I teach approaches that work, because I know from years of research and years of working with mums exactly what does work if you are consistent and you continue to follow the routines or the rhythms that you set for you and your family. That is a lot of love. I feel like a lot of you might be experiencing a bit of sleeplessness at the moment. Am I right? All right, well, I will make that my mission this weekend to get that blog live for you, and we'll work on some more content in the next week or two around especially how to establish healthy, really healthy, what fits for you, what fits for your family, sleep rhythms. Please, as I said, don't forget to sign up for the webinar tonight. Get your family, friends, tag anyone who you know who's expecting or has a baby or toddler, and we will be back at 8 o'clock. So it will be on the Birth Beat Tribe page, which is our closed group. So you need to make sure that you register by following the link. And I will see you all tonight at 8 o'clock with much improved hair, not this greasy mop that's on my head at the moment. All right, talk to you all soon. Bye.